Hello there and welcome to a brand new episode of Hello Kuwait. My name is Tariq Al-Aryan and we're coming to you live tonight from the Ministry of Information studios right here in downtown Kuwait. And in the beginning of our show, I would like to highlight to our dear viewers that the virus and the chance of catching COVID-19 is still out there. Please stay safe and maintain the wearing of medical masks and social distancing. Please listen to information on all health-related issues from reliable sources, especially with regards to vaccinations. Well, first off this evening, we're going to get to our first report, and it's dealing with the Kuwaiti-British ties throughout history. And then right after that, we'll be joined by Her Excellency, the British Ambassador to the State of Kuwait, Her Excellency Belinda Lewis. Stay tuned.
The relationship between Britain and Kuwait dates back to the middle of the 18th century and the activities of the British East India Company, which eventually set up an office in the country in 1793 and by 1821 had moved its trading post to Kuwait from the city of Basra. Throughout the 19th century, the El Sabah family oversaw the growing trade and pearling settlement in Kuwait. At a time of vulnerability, Kuwait's rulers quickly developed considerable diplomatic skills, maintaining a policy of neutrality that enabled them to work with the British and others. In the last quarter of the 19th century, Kuwait developed close ties with the Ottoman, but fearing a direct takeover, Kuwait decided to establish a formal alliance with Britain under His Highness Mubarak al-Kabir in 1899 that gave Britain control of Kuwait's foreign policy. Since the 1770s, the British had been contracted to deliver mail between the Gulf and Aleppo in Syria. Meanwhile, Kuwait handled all the transshipments of textiles, rice, coffee, sugar, tobacco, spices, teak and mangrove to and from India, and played an essential role in the overland trade to the Mediterranean. The alliance with Britain allowed Mubarak al-Kabir to lay down the foundations of a modern state. At the outbreak of the First World War in 1914, Britain confirmed that Kuwait was a British province, and in the Second World War, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah allowed Britain to station aircraft in Kuwait. The Anglo-Kuwaiti Friendship Agreement remained in place for 62 years and was ended at the request of His Highness Sheikh Abdullah al-Salim on the 19th of June 1961. During the 1930s, the British Anglo-Persian Oil Company sent a representative to Kuwait to negotiate a business to explore for oil, and in 1934, the Kuwait Oil Company was formed and registered as a joint enterprise with the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. World War II forced the Kuwait Oil Company to suspend its operations, but when oil exports took off after the war, Kuwait's economy launched on an incredible route of wealth. Thus, Britain secured a new energy source, and Kuwait steered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In 1950, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah al-Salim al-Sabah was the first emir to witness oil as one of the main incomes of Kuwait. Using the country's newfound wealth, he invested in healthcare, education, and infrastructure, modernizing the state and improving the general standard of living. Kuwait also sent students and delegates to the UK to deepen their knowledge and expert areas related to the oil industry and civil administration. In 1955, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah al-Salim al-Sabah visited Britain in his capacity as head of the National Police, later importing many measures and practices from the UK. On the 19th of June 1961, Kuwait became an independent state. The agreement with Britain was dissolved by mutual consent. British forces, later replaced by those of the Arab League, faced down the challenge, but as following tragic events would prove, the pattern was to be repeated. British forces played a vital role in the liberation of Kuwait by way of the coalition in 1991. The UK committed the largest number of forces of any European coalition member, putting together 53,000 soldiers. The overall campaign was known as Operation Desert Shield, but the UK had its own name for its part, Operation Granby. On January 17, 1991, 5.5 months later after the invasion of Kuwait, the coalition began to put in motion their master plan. In less than a week, the UK's air forces alone had flown over 2,000 raids, many targeting Iraqi infrastructure including bridges and oil refineries. Iraq's air force, made up of around 700 combat jets, was effectively knocked out. On February 22nd, Washington issued an ultimatum to Iraq to withdraw from Kuwait to avoid an all-out ground war. Baghdad did not comply, and 2 days later, coalition forces began operations to liberate Kuwait. In the small hours of February 24th, Britain's elite SAS forces entered Kuwait. They hold the distinction of being the first coalition soldiers to enter Iraqi-held territory. On February 25th, with coalition forces pouring into Kuwait, Britain made what is often noted as its most significant contribution to the conflict. The United Kingdom's and Kuwait's Memorandum of Understanding was signed in February 1992. It builds on the close historical ties and provides a modern basis for the traditionally strong defense relationship. As of today, the United Kingdom is one of Kuwait's most important trade partner and ally.
Well, we're back right here in the studio, and we have with us this evening Her Excellency Belinda Lewis, British Ambassador to the State of Kuwait. Your Excellency, welcome to our program, Hela Kuwait.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Nice to have you with us. We know you have a busy schedule. We appreciate your time with us, and welcome to the State of Kuwait. Maybe you could tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, where you serve, please.
Yes, of course. So I'm a Geordie. I'm from Newcastle upon Tyne. Still very proud of my roots in the northeast of England. Although I have travelled a lot over the last 10 years or so, where I've been more involved in international work. So my previous posting before I was in Kuwait was in Pakistan. I was the trade director, very interested in commercial work to Pakistan, based in Karachi. I was also the deputy ambassador in Baghdad, so I've seen a little bit of the region, although from a very different vantage point. I've also served in Afghanistan. I was in Helmand province, and I previously worked in Milan in Italy and also in the United States.
Okay, when you were in the area, though, you experienced a lot of the hot climate already.
I did.
Okay.
I'm not very good with the heat, Tarek,
Okay.
I have to say, but I'm going to get better over the next 3 to 4 years, I'm sure.
All right, we hope so. And maybe you could tell us, I think you've been in Kuwait now a little over a month, your initial impressions of the country, please, so far.
Yes, so I spent the first 2 weeks in quarantine, which, you know, is what we all have to do. We have to stick to the rules and do the right thing. And it gave me an opportunity to settle into home and settle in my family. So I've been out and about as much as I can over the last 2.5 weeks. I've been for walks on the beach. I've done a charity fundraising run down the Corniche Road, down to the Kuwaiti Towers, been past Dasman Palace quite a lot. Really looking forward to the museums reopening. And I had a wonderful trip to Shahid Park yesterday with my family. We thoroughly enjoyed that. So I've been surprised at how green it is and the real mixture of architecture.
Well, we hope you have a very pleasant stay the next 3 to 4 years, you and your family right here in the State of Kuwait. And maybe, Your Excellency, you could tell us a little bit about the strong friendship and relationship between Kuwait and England. Tell us a little bit about that. It's very strong on many different fronts when it comes to trade, when it comes to business opportunities and so forth. Maybe you could elaborate on that, please.
Yes, of course. It was really fascinating actually watching the footage that you played just before this interview, which brings back a lot of the memories of the long-standing historical ties that exist between our two countries. But I think just looking to the here and now and the future, trade is something that I feel really excited about. I started my career as a banker, so I've always kept an interest in that. And I think in 2020, there was about 2.5 billion of bilateral trade between the UK and Kuwait. I would love to see more British businesses exporting to the Kuwaiti market. Lots of shared interests around food and drink is one obvious one. We have strong ties around culture and education, around healthcare. We have excellent high precision engineering industries in the UK. And of course, I think we're quite familiar with each other's markets and countries.
That's true.
Lots and lots of travel from Kuwait to the UK.
I think you recently opened the British, I think, let's say a trade week or British goods week, or tell us about that.
Yes, so it was looking at food and drink.
Okay.
At Lulu's hypermarket. Yes, that was a really fun event to go along to, and lots of people were dressed up in red, white and blue.
Right.
We had a red carpet, and it was actually really interesting and quite nostalgic for me to see sort of products from my childhood and very well-known products that you would see on lots of British sort of fridge shelves and shelves in the kitchen. So yes, I'll certainly be back there to stock up on a lot of different foods. I think our tastes are quite similar in many areas, but it's always good to try new things.
Good to hear that. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit more also on the health field also. A lot of people here go for medical care to the UK. Of course, it's well known and well renowned for its great medical service and excellent doctors. Tell us more about that, please.
Yes, our hospitals look after very many Kuwaiti patients, and I think do so very well, make sure that people have a comfortable stay and have successful outcomes. And of course, in this day and age, I don't think we've ever been more aware of the importance of the resilience of our healthcare systems, investing in them, and also working together, looking at where one country might have more advancement than another, where we can best take care of people. It really is about global solutions now to global problems.
And tell us a little bit about studying there also. I mean, you said in the beginning you're from the Newcastle area.
Yes.
A lot of Kuwaiti students actually studied there and study in the UK in general. So many great universities and so forth. Maybe we could touch on that also.
Yes, so I think there are about 5,000 or 6,000 Kuwaiti students studying a range of undergraduate and postgraduate courses in the UK. We have an unrivaled, I would say, of course, education system, and the British Council really does us proud in terms of explaining to people what they need to do to get to British schools, to British universities, and what it is that we can offer. So whether it's science, technology, STEM subjects, or arts, I think we're strong across the field. But
yeah, it's a top-notch education.
It is, and I think people have those memories for the rest of their lives. When you're a young person and you go overseas and you're kind of at the start of your journey through life, I think there are lots of memories that Kuwaiti students bring back with them that stay with them forever.
I know also the Alumni Association here is also very strong. You have a lot of different activities and events for them to, for everyone to stay in touch.
Yes. Yep, that's a good thing. And then they can share the word. And if they've enjoyed their stay in the UK and got a lot out of their studies, pass it on to other people. Your
Excellency, I know recently the UK Minister of State for Middle East and North Africa, James Cleverly, visited Kuwait. Can you elaborate a little bit about that visit and how it went, please?
Yes, so I was very excited to welcome Mr. Cleverly to Kuwait. It came quite early on in my tenure here. I presented my credentials to His Highness in the morning, and a few hours later I had the Minister of State coming off the plane. But it was very good for me. I have to say a big thank you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Foreign Minister and the Deputy Foreign Minister were very generous with their time and their hospitality as well towards myself and the Minister. And he got a good insight into the bilateral political relations, but also we talked about many different things, about business, investment, about the education alumni, about entrepreneurs, about healthcare as well, and what's going on in the region and how we can support as a long-standing friend of Kuwait. So yes, it was a very, very useful and well-timed visit.
Well, I'm glad it was a fruitful visit on many different fronts, and also people love to visit your country, Your Excellency. They love to see, you know, they have a lot of roots there also. They've been going there for summer holidays and so forth, and hopefully when things are getting a little better with the COVID situation, maybe people can start to revisit once again.
Yes, I'll certainly look forward to that. I think we're all looking forward to getting on planes, travelling around again and reuniting with friends and family who many of us haven't seen for so long. And I think we just need to wait a little bit longer, do the right thing, tread carefully, and then hopefully we can all start travelling around and just, you know, getting back to normal again. I'm certainly looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you yourself and everyone would like to spend a little vacation time and go visit the beautiful country of England to see all the great things that it has to offer. And I do have to say that the embassy also has a very active social media account. You have a lot of different posts. I was watching that when Mr. Cleverly's visit was here, different places he was at, so forth. So you're always keeping us all up to date on the latest of what the events and activities that you have. So we thank you for that also.
Oh, well, I'm blessed with a very good team, and my team are pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I'm a bit more familiar with Twitter, very new to Instagram, but I'm willing to have a go at all these things because particularly with the COVID restrictions, often it's quite hard to reach people. And at least social media is a way of hearing from audiences that otherwise we just wouldn't be able to hear from and wouldn't be able to reach. So it's good. It's really useful, particularly now.
It is, and it's a pleasure to have you with us right here on KTV2 on our program Hela Kuwait. And at the end of our interview, Your Excellency, do you have any last words or comments for the audience who may be watching this evening?
I think really, Tariq, just to say a huge thank you to everybody who've made me and my family as well feel so welcome on arrival in Kuwait. I have 2 young children who aren't always brilliantly behaved and are sometimes quite noisy, but everywhere we've gone as a family, everyone has been so kind and so welcoming and tolerant. So I'm very grateful for that and just excited about the next 3 or 4 years here.
Well, we're excited to have you here, right here in the state of Kuwait, and we hope you come back to our program once again in the near future, and we wish yourself and your family a very pleasant and successful stay right here in the state of Kuwait.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'd like to thank Her Excellency for her time with us right here on Hela Kuwait. We appreciate that very much. We'd like to thank Her Excellency Belinda Lewis, British Ambassador to the state of Kuwait. Right now we'll take a short break and then we'll be back with you. Stay tuned.